The following is a special presentation of the PDF Sports Network.
Good morning, good morning. Happy Father's Day. You hear Muffin in the background. What's going on? Way too early with Pat. I have a green shirt on today. Juan Cologne, absolute utter fail. Supposed to get B and Drewski our Green Wave apparel. He did not. But I am, thanks to my kids, rocking the green, and the wife, as wife part 2 makes that proclamation. So, good morning all. Checking out the levels. Rocking there it is. Levels is good, so to speak. And now to our sharing groups. Good morning officially. I think I streamlined this thing now, so we're good. Forums. Bleezy page, Players Lounge. Yeah, so I'm ahead. It says 3 Bleezys. So, uniforms. That's not it. Deadly. What's up, National Players Association? What's up? And my LAL people, my New England folks, from New England, yes indeed, to my Aim Dogs Only, Shots Fired, and the AFL, with the new logo for the unit being the champion, Midwest folk, New York City folk, Big East football, of course, with their championship game yesterday. And then semipro. I don't know what that one is. PA, what up? Semipro Talk Band. Network. Jersey. Sports Center. A lot of groups. A couple that I forgot about. And I think I eliminated some of the ones that are non-active. But we shall see. And then I'm there. Cool. All right. What's up? Let me first say good morning to everybody. Happy Father's Day, everybody. Again, I'm decked out in green today. Congratulations to the New York Green Wave for winning the championship in the Big East Football League yesterday. They bring up the comments. Beautiful. All right. So we got a few things on the agenda today. First thing we're going to do is obviously talk about the big game yesterday. Are you coming on the camera or are you just hanging out? Yeah. So my daughter's out here hanging out. We're building tree houses today. We're doing tree house renovations for our squirrel friends, indeed. So good time. You hanging out? You're hanging out. Okay, so first thing is, yesterday I was not supposed to be at the championship game because my daughter had a softball game at 5:30. Because of the rain, unfortunately. Fortunately, I was able to go out to the championship game, and I was actually able to broadcast the game in HSG Network. Check out YouTube, HSG Network. Make sure you check out the replay of that. Absolutely awesome time.
You also said you would finish the railing yesterday.
I also said I would finish the railing yesterday, so as you can see, my boss is telling me to make it quick today. So, let's talk about the game first and foremost. The Green Wave offense. What can you say? So, round 2 started off very similar to round 1. Golden Lions got the ball. Larry Garcia, who is in the comments right now, throws a football to the middle of the field that gets intercepted by Toon. Toon was my prediction to be MVP, by the way. Was it a poorly thrown ball? Yeah, it was a poorly thrown ball. It was insane upset. Oh, yeah, so definitely want to get to that, too. Poorly thrown ball to the middle of the field. But here's the thing. Can you get away with that? Larry Garcia can get away with that a couple times. But this defense, the story really isn't what the Golden Lions failed to do in the championship game. The storyline in this is that the Green Wave, who played excellent football for 9 games, for their 10th game, played completely their best performance of the year from start to finish, in my humble opinion. Their players, to a man, all 11 on the field, made plays, didn't have lulls in the action. They were very intense when it came to just attacking the ball, and the defense played the way that they've been playing all year. So Toon gets the first interception, sets up the Green Wave offense, and just like that, the Green Wave are on the board 6-0. Fast forward, the Gold Lions try to kind of get back in the game, throwing a pick 6. Shannon James. Now, here's the thing. Shannon James, you hear this on the broadcast. I mentioned that they should go to Shannon James' way. Not because Shannon, indeed, not because Shannon is a bad football player. He's a very good football player. But when it came down to it, when you look at the depth of the Green Wave, are you going to throw the ball in Toon's direction? No, he already has an interception. Are you going to throw the ball in Sadiq Nathaniel's direction? No, we know his resume. And on the side, in the slot, you had Errol, and we know he finds the football and he can make plays as well. And by the way, you have one of the players that, again, if you check out the broadcast, you will hear me mention his name often, getting around, is Ka Miller. So Miller, what up? Miller was absolutely a weapon on both offense and defense. He had a very solid game. He was finding the football. He made some big plays. Big shout out to him. He was finding work. There was nowhere to throw the football, to tell you the truth. So out of that group, you got to throw it to Shannon's side. No disrespect, Shannon, but you got to throw it to Shannon's side. And Larry went back to pass, telegraphed the ball, pre-snap, telegraphed the ball from the time that he got the snap, throws one over to Kadeem. Perfect break on the ball. Absolutely perfection. Again, look on the HSG network, check out the replay, look at his break on the ball, and he was coasting from there. Nobody had a shot to touch him. And then from there, the lead was extended. The Golden Lions then pulled Larry Garcia. Do I agree with it? Well, yeah, I agree with it. There was a couple people that I was talking with during and after the game that disagreed with pulling Larry so soon. However, when it comes to championship games, the one thing that I will co-sign on in terms of pulling the cord on would be turnovers, because turnovers in championship games lead to losses, and it leads to the game being out of hand quickly. He is again, Shannon's a great defender, but again, it's the lesser of the evils. You got to throw the ball somewhere, so it's going to go towards Shannon's side. And he came up big, knowing that the ball was going to be thrown his way, and playing against a talented receiver like Kadeem Wilson, he made the play, and that was that. Now, here's the thing: the most critical point in the game for me. Again, when you were looking at the scoreboard, it was 18-8. Golden Lions have the ball after the doctor took the reins and took over at quarterback. They get the score, they get the conversion. It's 18-8. They get the ball back. They're about to drive. Strip sack by Errol James. That was absolutely a killer. Because if the Golden Lions were to punch that thing in, even if it's 18-14, or God forbid, 18-16 at halftime, now you're feeling like it's a different game going into halftime. However, Errol James with the strip sack of the doctor, Green Wave recover, they get the ball. And now, big shout out to MVP candidate Chris Andrews. I was kept on calling him Chris Andrews. My bad. I had a quarterback way back in the day, Chris Andrews, great quarterback, by the way. But Chris Andrews, who had a hell of a game wearing number 34, so much so that he might set trends with the next generation quarterbacks wearing numbers in the 30s. Drove them down the field, and then with 1 second left after a big Chris Andrews run, spikes the ball with 1 second on the clock. Devon West, I don't know how right I am, but I feel like, they were trying to get the ball out quick. Larry's more of a way for you to get open kind of guy. Timing routes not really his strength. Good point. So, Chris Andrews scrambles, picks up, I think it was like 15, 20 yards, whatever it was, clocks the ball with 1 second left. Now, Golden Lions went from possibly making it within a field goal game, an 18-16 game. Now they're 1 second away from getting off the field, 10-point game going into the halftime. And then Errol James, after getting the strip sack to set up the drive, ends up with basically a Hail Mary toss. He mosses everybody around him, grabs the ball, and scores to me, the game clincher. At that point, the Golden Lions were flatlined. It was over. You went from 18-8 to then 24-8 at halftime, and with 3 scores, again, I've said it for years. In semi-pro, the third score is usually the death knell. The third score, you end up, putting the thing away. Teams come back from 2 scores, although it's very tough when it comes to waves of momentum, ironically. But a 3-score game, you're pretty much done for. So it's that battle to get to that third score so you can kind of pin your ears back and play well. Now, here's the thing. When you talk about a complete performance, and again, from there was more scoring, and the Golden Lions even put a touchdown up on the board. Errol James got into the end zone again. Errol James was my MVP. I believe he did get MVP as well from the Big East Football League. Between him and Chris Andrews had a hell of a game, mistake-free football, drove the offense with a lot of efficiency, put up points, 30-some-odd points, only almost a 40-point game, and only 6 of those were put up by the defense. So offense for the Green Wave did an amazing job in the biggest game of the season on the big stage. Great job to them. Errol James was my MVP, the strip sack, going right back to the touchdown, which sealed it. And then he came out and took a bubble screen, which I thought was like a 2-yard gain. And then he just tight-roped the sideline and went 63 yards for a touchdown. And it was over from there. Somebody's chopping wood back here. Okay, cool. But nonetheless, that was the championship. And again, congratulations to those guys. Well done. Kevin Parra had a solid game. The juggernaut. And I said when it came to my keys to the game, which we put on the big board on Thursday, the juggernaut having the O-line is always the MVP. I think that goes without saying, Wes. The juggernaut I think he had more carries in this game than he has all season, and that was that key to the Green Wave controlling the game. And once they got those scores and basically sunk their teeth into the Golden Lions, that was kind of it. And then they just ground and pound them to death at that particular point. And the game didn't last that long. The first half definitely was quicker than the second half, but the Green Wave being able to control the clock was definitely another key to victory. Good morning, all. Good morning. So where does that leave us? So we're going to transition right now to the big board over here. So I have Pat's playoff right here, and I think it's probably reversed, but whatever, we'll work with it. So my number 1, as you can see from our rankings ever since, I think it was like week 6, where the Militia was undefeated at the time. At the 1 spot, Green Wave was number 2, just because of the body of work at the time and the fact that the NEAFL started earlier than the Big East. We ended up with the Green Wave taking over the number 1 spot. And after a championship performance, as they did, no reason to switch them at this particular point. So if I'm going to my dream scenario playoff, and we'll get to the we'll get to the possibilities and what it will take to get some playoff action for the spring under the way. You end up with Green Wave 10-0 champion. Now, my number 2, this is a tough one. The Falcons are undefeated, but when you look at their body of work versus the unit's body of work, now I know this looks funky because you got a 9-2 over a 9-0, but keep in mind one of these losses was a forfeit loss. Technicality, again, gotta respect it, but kind of don't. So that's really a 10-1 right there because they beat the team that they forfeited against, and best believe they would have beaten them the first time as well. So if you're looking at it from a fair standpoint, would I take a 10-1 unit team that's only loss was to an undefeated militia team over a Falcons team that essentially 3 of the teams in the ECFL were top caliber teams, but they racked up a couple of wins over teams that were winless? It's a tough one, but I'm going to put the unit number 2, drop the Falcons to number 3. And now this leaves our, again, dream scenario of who would get that 4th spot, being that we don't have 4 leagues and 4 champions. We'll throw a runner-up into that 4th spot as the at-large bid, you know? If you want to talk about who deserves it, well, if you're looking at the caliber of the league, NEAFL, Big East, ECFL, in terms of competition, opinion, ECFL drops to number 3. Again, you got too many teams there that are not functional, both in terms of administrative-wise, going out there with mismatched uniforms and helmets and such, and we'll get to that in a second too. And just teams that it's top-heavy. So you got the top 3 teams beating the bottom 4 teams, and then you end up with the undefeated. Well, you don't end up with 8 undefeateds, but the Cardinals ended up out of the undefeated ranks early, and they ended up being the runner-up in the championship game. So they ended up at 6-3. 6-3. I'm going to have them out. Between the Militia and the Golden Lions, well, the Militia going through the season the way that they did and only losing in the championship, I got to give a slight edge to them. Golden Lions, their only 2 losses were to the Green Wave, so you got to respect that. However, a 10-1, I'll take over the 7-2. It's not by much, but I would like to see a Golden Lions Militia matchup, maybe for like a play-in spot, something like that. We've heard rumblings of Green Wave Falcons. I know that Ivan and Karim both are, open to the idea. Again, it's pure and simply up to them. So you don't need to ask the commissioners of the leagues. Literally, it's just 2 people that have to make a phone call, and then Green Wave and Falcons happen. The unit, we got them to chime in. They're definitely into play. I know that for a fact. So the teams that are in play right now, Green Wave, again, it's Karim's decision, but I'm sure he would be down. Unit, they're down. Falcons, it's up to Ivan, but I think they're down. Militia, don't know about those guys, but I'm pretty sure they would be. I know the Golden Lions, if they're willing to play in Vegas in the offseason, they're willing to play postseason ball, especially trying to get their lick back after yesterday's performance. Cardinals, not as much. No disrespect, 2-4, but Cardinals don't usually come out to play other than league games or whatever because a lot of their guys are, I could be wrong, but a lot of their guys are dedicated to ECFL summer season, which brings me to the next point. Spring-summer gap. ECFL and New England Football League, let me just say this really quickly. Y'all did bad. Starting your season yesterday, y'all did bad. Golden Lions versus Kingston Lions. We already saw Golden Lions versus Kingston Lions. They're not down. Who's not down, Gerard? Which one's not down? I just want to know. I mentioned a bunch of teams. Tell me who's not down to play. And it might be very well true. ECFL and New England Football League, y'all did bad. We talk about working together and the rest of it, and everybody working together, blah, blah, blah. So to start your season before the spring season really is over, and when I say spring season is over, the official end of the spring season is the Sunshine Bowl Nationals for spring. Now, regardless if you think the Sunshine Bowl is... Oh, the Connecticut Falcons. Gotcha. It might be... They want to play in August. It might be an ECFL thing. ECFL started yesterday. There was 2 games on the schedule. I definitely will talk about that briefly. But again, it was championship week. Sunshine Bowl is usually like July 11th or so, and you can get a bowl game Sunday at 10 a.m. I'm sure we can get the Raptors team to go up if needed. Interesting. Got it. Okay, so why not just start the summer season like in mid-July, late July? LAL does it. EFA does it. I believe the Southern leagues do it. So why are we sitting here having players choose between finishing their championship run and really giving the spring the platform that it deserves, or sitting here trying to get a jump on it? ECFL service started, so 90% of our players play summer for the Connecticut Generals. Yeah, so the timing is tough based on the ECFL's decision. So, again, when we talk about working with one another and this and that in the spirit of brotherhood, when y'all do some stuff like that, it leaves a lot to be desired. That's whack, to be completely honest with you. New England Football League, you did bad too. Y'all started yesterday. What's the use? What's the rush on this thing? Why are we starting right now? Hey, what up? What's up, Davis? So now we ended up with that. That's whack. That's really whack. So I am going to go to those in a second. Hold on. So I did have those. And what did you get started early for? You know what? Give me a second. So now we're going to get into the game of LA starts next month. Again, why couldn't some phone calls be made? Like, it's whack. It's really whack. So, what did ECFL do yesterday? Well, they had two games. The Tri-State Bruins beat the Rhody Ravens 28-18. The Northeast Bulls lost to the Valley Generals 22-20. Was that really worth it? Like, is that really worth it? We can't just chill until everybody's finished? Well, indeed. So, let me also do this. ECFL, the once mighty ECFL, is down to Tri-State Bruins, Valley Generals, Northeast Bulls, Rhody Ravens, Connecticut Lightning, Troy City Titans, and Randolph Oilers. So they're down to 7 teams in the ECFL. That is AAA, AA, single A all together. Now, it will be kind of interesting for the sake of nationals to see whether the ECFL keeps its AAA rating with 7 teams. Now we will see who is full of shit. And I think you guys know the answer to that. Just saying. So, again, if I'm wrong, just tell me I'm wrong. So, ECFL has 7 teams total that just got started. And meanwhile, the Falcons could have made a run. The Cardinals could have made a run, do some postseason action. We'd rather see that than to see the prequel of week 1, 3 weeks in advance and all that other nonsense. But again, the gamesmanship is crazy. And you came out there yesterday with week 1 for the summer product, which is supposed to be your big-time product, and you had mismatched helmets on the field. You had uniforms that didn't match and stuff. So you put out a shitty-ass product anyway in week 1. Why not wait a month, wait a couple weeks, and make sure everybody's right and looking the way it's supposed to look? But again, it's just one person's opinion. What can you do? So that was the ECFL. The New England Football League, again, doing bad. You guys don't even have the scores posted. So I can't even find out who won which game or whatever. I wasn't going to pay it too much attention because when it's championship day, you give the championship its due. You got the New England Black Panthers against the Haverhill Hitmen. Hopefully the Black Panthers look better in the summer than they did in the spring. I'll reserve judgment. Glens Falls Green Jackets playing the Cobras. Mill City Eagles against the Grand State Destroyers. That would have been a really good game 3-4 weeks from now. The New England Bombers were playing the Boston Bandits. Middlesex County Longhorns against the Windsor Flyers. Mass Warriors versus the Rhode Island Raptors. New London County Silverbacks were playing the Riptide up in Cranston. Metro West Golden Badgers playing the Vermont Ravens. Ravens are a great program too. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 games, 16 teams. I'm not sure if that's the whole entire thing. The Southern New England Admirals is a 2A national titles. The Admirals are 2A national, two-time national champions. Gotcha. And the Admirals are not playing this year. But regardless, I can't find out how many teams are in the NEFL because their standings aren't updated, and they'd rather say Happy Father's Day, no offense, Happy Father's Day, rather than post the scores from yesterday's game. But again, who am I? Just a fan at this particular point. But you can't tell me I'm requesting anybody to do anything that I didn't do myself when I was coaching this thing. I'm talking this year, pal. Yes. So the Admirals no longer have a team, so we're kind of living in the past on that. So let's talk about this year. And this year, I can't get the information because you guys can't update a website. That's kind of frustrating. But again, your players are going to take you seriously if you take you seriously. So you can't ask these players to go above and beyond and be professional if you're not being above and beyond and professional. And to come out in week 1 with mismatched helmets and looking like trash, there's a new website for the NEAFL. Maybe they should put that on the Facebook page. So can you do me a favor and drop, Mr. Donahue, if you could drop the new NEAFL website in the comments so I could connect with that. I'd like to take out a few games and such, but again, it's very hard to figure out what you guys are doing over there. But again, starting yesterday was bad business. I'll stand on that. Absolutely bad business. So moving forward, got the championship review. Happy Father's Day. I talked about the spring-summer gap. And now the last thing, spring wrap-up. Hitmen 35-0 over the Panthers. So the Panthers picked up in the summer the same way they left off in the spring. That's unfortunate. Wow. So let's talk about the spring. The spring this year was a ton of fun. Now, I might be a little bit biased. I am a little bit biased because this year I was able to enjoy it as a fan as opposed to the rigors of the season of being an owner and putting out a product and going to practice and, spending money and such. So it definitely was a refreshing season, especially from my bank account. At the same time, let's talk the picture of what went well. 3 things that really went well this spring. 1, minimum drama. Of course, it's semi-pro football, so there's not going to be no drama whatsoever. Minimum drama. The headline stories from week to week, there was football being discussed. I think there was one time in which a player transaction, which is still football related, it wasn't like a personal thing, with de jure, kind of took over the headline and took way too much time over the actual football games. But that was actually awesome that it was very minimum drama. Second thing that went very well this year was competitive games. Was every game a nail biter? No. You had a lot of overtime games, which were nail biters. The game of the year was an absolute nail biter, went into overtime. And above all else, we didn't have any 50-point beatings. We had a couple games that ended short that could have been a 50-point beatings, but that was few and far between. Maybe 3 games on the schedule, 2 or 3 games max on the schedule that would have been 50-point beatings, and that's it. So I'll say forfeits and beatings were absolutely down. So the talent was more spread out, so to speak. So I know some of you guys are in love with one team just beating the bejesus out of others, but sometimes you as a fan, you want to see something different. Am I almost done? So my daughter is asking me if I'm almost done. So yes, we are almost done. You see what I go through over here, by the way, on Father's Day, nonetheless. Raptors defeated the Warriors on the score 3-point game. Ravens Badgers on Father's Day. That is gutsy. Here goes the scores. Oh, I appreciate you. Awesome. And you see the scores for the NEFL coming up in the messages. Yo, what's up, Randy? Randy, you want to get on real quick and talk? Please let me know. Guest requests. Boom. Invite friends to watch. Oh, there it is. Remember, we're a PG show. So, and so that's 2 things that worked well with the spring. And 3, the consolidation. I love the geography of the thing, and maybe it's because I'm a history teacher. I teach, civics and such, that the geography of this. Hey, what's up, Randy? How you, sir?
What's good, bro?
Now, here's the thing. I could barely hear you. Now, here's the thing, right? I'm showing you guys how to do this. You flip the and then you flip the camera back. And then for some reason, I don't know why, the volume goes up.
You hear me?
There it is. Perfect. See?
That's
So,
crazy.
yeah, it's one of those little boop, 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 whatever.
Say
How you
less.
doing, sir?
I'm a champ again.
What's up, champ? How you doing, sir?
Word, I'm good, bro. How you, man?
Good. Is my shirt valid this time? Because I know I was going to catch hell. I did not get any Green Wave apparel. Juan did me dirty, but I did come up with the proper green
That's a fact.
attire.
That's a fact. You valid. You valid.
Indeed.
You
So
know what I'm
what?
saying? It's green everywhere, man. Green controller, green shorts on right now. You know what I'm saying?
There
Ah,
you go. Now I
young
have
shit,
three
man.
questions for you because you know my daughter and my daughter's looking to build a tree house right now, so I don't have a lot of time. So I have
Cecilia,
three
what
questions.
up?
Randy says hi. Yeah, she gave it a little. So first question is, being that the Green Wave are from the Bronx,
Mhm.
I say uptown, but we
Yeah,
know uptown has a affiliation or a name, but
yeah.
geographically uptown, right? Even if they're not like uptown in so to speak. What does it say about the Green Wave, another organization from that geographic point winning a championship?
Mm.
Is it is the power shift going from Brooklyn to the Bronx?
Um, I can see that happening. Yeah, absolutely. Um, I think it's definitely shining a huge light on football uptown for sure. For sure. I mean, Brooklyn always had the torch. I still think that Brooklyn has still got it, but Uptown is definitely knocking on the door. Um, yeah, man, we here, bro. It's dope to see. It's dope to see because all of the ballers come out of Brooklyn. Like a ton of ballers come out of Brooklyn. Ton of champions coming out of Brooklyn. But the crown is uptown right now, man. Or
Now, here's the thing: for those that don't know the New York landscape, youth football organizations, especially like from a league level, all the leagues were owned by Brooklyn and Long Island. And the Bronx teams were forced to kind of deal with Brooklyn politics, which led to the birth of the Pioneer Football League, by the way. Pioneer
Mhm.
Football League was one of the few, it wasn't the first, but it was one of the few youth football leagues that were centered out of the Bronx. Like, hey, look, we do things a certain way on this side, so to speak. And then from a high school perspective, um, high school football is completely dominated by Brooklyn and Staten Island until relatively recent. Respect to Clinton, the only city champion to come out of this side of the river was John F. Kennedy High School back in the like 80s and early 90s or what have you. Now,
Mhm.
the other big dog in this, obviously, lately has been Cardinal Hayes, but
Yeah.
that's when it comes to the Catholic school league.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, that's an interesting point. Second question for you
Mhm.
is give me your overall, because you played in the Den last year, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And give me the whole landscape last year compared to the whole landscape this year. Which one you felt was better?
Um, I would say which one I felt was better. I'm gonna say I think
Well, you could say as a player, I liked last year better or this year better, and the reason why. But you could say like as if somebody who follows it, like maybe as a fan, which one was more enjoyable?
I think as a player, I like the Den better last year because of the level of competition. I feel like the level of competition was higher. I feel like I feel like this year the um the Golden Lions were it was us and the Golden Lions, and that was written at the beginning of the season, and we knew that was gonna happen. As far as last year in the Den, it was us, the Canes, and I believe it was us, the Canes, and I believe it was the Knowles, the Canes, and I
Yeah,
believe
you keep on saying Knowles and Canes because it was you guys and the Canes, and
yeah,
then
it
the year
was.
before it was the Knowles and the Hitmen.
No. It was the Knowles and the Canes, but it was also teams that I felt like could have made some noise was the um the Wolfpack. The Wolfpack were a tough team, I'm not gonna lie.
The Delaware Wolfpack,
Yeah.
they were
What
winless last year.
were they Delaware? The red and black
Yeah,
team?
they were terrible last year.
I don't know. I felt like they played a good game against us.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
But put the Wolfpack in the Big East. They're winning games and they're actually beating the Golden Lions.
Well, the Wolfpack this year won games because, again, I think that, especially with maybe, I think it was the Bengals that didn't play this spring. So I think the Bengals did to the landscape down there what the Knowles moving to summer did up here, which was you ended up with, again, the Mike Lowrys over at the Crusaders. You had, a couple guys go shift over to the Golden Lions. You had a couple guys shift over to the Green Wave. You even had a couple of even like the guys that don't really make headlines, those secondary and tertiary players, those guys that are like were those second stringers on Gators teams, for example,
Yeah.
pop up on the Bengals and made them into competent teams because they were used to being in competent organizations, whether it be the Gators, whether it be the Knowles, whether it be the Patriots or whoever it was. Everybody kind of moved into different spots.
Yeah.
And again, as a fan, I don't like to see just one team beating the bejesus out of other teams by 60 points. And
Mhm.
then what it lends to is the players on that dominant team not even showing up most of the time because they know winning is a foregone conclusion. So they're just
I
saving
get that.
themselves for the playoffs.
I get that. I get that. That's definitely a valid point. If you're speaking from a fan's perspective, I would say the Big East was more exciting. Um, I feel like you had teams like the Dolphins who they turned up this year, honestly. Like it was really it was really dope to see the product that was put on the field by the New York Dolphins. Shout out to them. I feel
I
like
like
that
the I
game
like the Hurricanes as well.
Hurricanes as well. Hurricanes, they got some ballers over there, man. They're young, they're scrappy. I think they definitely have a bright future. I could see them in the next couple of years making a push if they stay together. And just with a couple more additions, I think they'll be fine. Um, the Kingston Lions, that's another tough, scrappy team. It's another tough, scrappy team. Yo, Wes, you're an asshole. That's what my fiance calls me. Um, but like damn, I was fucking screaming all day yesterday. The Kingston Lions are definitely a tough, scrappy team. Shout out to them. Um, I know one of them is making fake pages though. That shit is sad with excuses, but we ain't gonna get into all that.
Yeah, I think Dolphins as well.
Mm,
You're doing well, and I think that part of it is the culture has been you're either elite or you're dead in
hmm
previous years. You were
hmm
either, again, Knowles, Rebels, Gators, or you didn't exist type of thing.
Right, right.
And that dog eat dog mentality
hmm
has kind of shifted. And due to the Bleezy's kind of getting everybody in the mix and getting everybody media attention, you're fine being a Dolphin. Like
hmm
it's not the end of the world that you didn't win the championship. It's not the end of the
It's
world.
no pressure.
Yeah, it's not pressure, and it usually is when the Knowles are in the room. When the Knowles are in the room, it's everybody else sucks except for us. So, that's how they move,
hmm
which works for them.
Yeah.
But the movement that again, some of the Dolphins comments that you saw, especially with the forfeiting and such, and
hmm
some of the comments that you see with the Lions and such, you're like, it's unnecessary. Just let it go and keep on building because you're doing just fine.
Right, right. Also, side note from that, let's talk about the championship game yesterday.
Talk about it.
Um, I want to get your. I'm gonna ask you some questions. Who did you have winning that championship game?
I
Walking into
had the Green Wave winning the championship 28-26.
28-26 was your spread. Okay. Um, do
I had
you?
I had Tune as my MVP,
You did. I saw that. That's facts. That's facts.
and
Yo,
after that first play, I'm like, "Oh, I'm winning this."
facts.
And then Errol,
Once he did that, I was like, yeah, it's over.
yeah,
We got it. We got
and
it.
then Errol went completely berserk, and
Arrow
yeah,
went stupid.
whew.
Question for you. Based off of your analysis from the first matchup, Green Wave versus the Golden Lions, and then this is the second matchup in the big dance. What do you feel like is like what could you speak more to? Would you say the Green Wave was like we were too much for the Golden Lions, or they weren't good enough to
The
compete?
green. I said this a bunch of times on the broadcast, and again today. I don't think the Golden Lions played a terrible game. I think yesterday they beat most teams. I think the Green Wave just played that much better. I think that the Green Wave played their best game of the year. Period.
Mm.
There was not much that the Golden Lions were going to be able to do in order to get that game to be, competitive, let alone win that game. Even the throws, the telegraph ball, it was what it was. But even when you look at like the strip sack by Errol that set up the touchdown, the 1 second left, it's just basically the Green Wave exerting their dominance,
Mm.
and the Golden Lions really not being able to do anything about it. What I didn't like, what I say, which was the tell of the game eventually getting out of control and being done over basically by halftime,
Mhm.
was the body language of the Golden Lions. After the first,
Yep.
when the first interception happened,
Hmm.
the drive occurred, and the defense from the Golden Lions came out absolutely flat. And they weren't going to stop anything. That's why I was like, "There's no reason to even throw the ball on that for the first touchdown. There's
Yeah.
no reason to throw the ball there because you saw. In fact, I even pointed out your block. You had a block like a seal block,
Hmm.
and all you saw was 50. And when you see 57, it's not like your number was straight up and down. It was like this.
Yeah.
And dude, like you saw the bottom of homeboy's foot. It was like, you know, crazy. And then there was like I think two or three other guys on the offensive line that had their players like on skates,
Hmm.
absolutely in horrible leverage, which showed that they were not attacking the line of scrimmage at all, because they had been deflated because of the interception.
One thing I like about um our energy on the sideline and our energy on the field was our first matchup. We were all over the place. We were emotional. We got what we had, Wes, about like 10 penalties that first matchup.
Uh,
Bruh, I don't even know how many.
Like
Like,
it was
but
nine penalties for 68 yards in the
for
first drive.
68
let me
yards. And it's like
let me tell you let
we
me tell
couldn't
you
have,
this, right?
yeah, yeah, go ahead.
The first game, I'll tell you this right now, we were unsure for real. Like we were confident going against the Golden Lions, but we were still unsure of what they had because at the end of the day, they still an undefeated team. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? We're playing with a lot of guys who've never really been in a big moments. You know, they all been the underdog.
Mhm.
They've always been the underdog, whatever. Y'all can hit me, right? Because somebody just called me.
Yeah, I get you. You good.
Yeah, yeah. They've always been the underdog. So now we're playing from the position of top dog. So there was a lot of pressure. You know, a lot of guys is new to the moment.
Yeah.
So they were real finicky, real fidgety. You know, everything was insensitive, and you're already dealing with a group of hotheads. So to
Hmm.
put pressure on top of them at the same time, you know, that put us in a weird place. But coming back around, you know, the second time we were confident. You get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
We have a coach that listens when we tell him something's there. He goes straight to it. You know what I'm saying? We have a defense that was way more hungrier the back end of the season than they were in the beginning. And I know, you know, the front end of the season was like, you know, dominant performance by the defense, but we were still figuring ourselves out defensively in the first half of the season.
Right.
What you saw yesterday was the results of many adjustments made.
Mhm.
Tune and Shannon didn't start out at, on the defensive side of the ball.
Mhm.
Arrow didn't really play no defense. We were still trying to get stuff figured out at linebacker.
Mhm.
The
You
football
know,
IQ in that secondary, linebacker level included, is impressive.
Yeah, man.
And that's
yeah,
why I
but
said again, Larry didn't play a good game by any stretch of the
see,
imagination.
I,
But
I think,
where were you
like
going to throw
I
the
said,
ball?
I said this earlier. I think it was one of those situations where they were trying to get the ball out of Larry's hands fast because of pass rush. So with Larry throwing the ball out quickly because, like I said earlier, timing routes. He's not a timing route guy. He doesn't have enough zip on the ball. He throws a good ball. Everything is always kind of like a bit of a floater though. Like he throws once you get open. He's not really going to throw you open. And he's not going to. I don't think he gets the ball to a spot fast enough.
Right.
Now, Toon played that shit very well, but like I said, I think he threw it because he was told to throw it, or that was maybe this is going to be here because the way
Well, I
Toon
mean,
played that,
here's the thing, and I predicted this, by the way. I said Noble not going to be your MVP. Noble's going to have a quiet day, and when I say quiet day, not a bad day, but a quiet day, as in you're not going to hear his name getting called.
Mhm.
Enrique as well,
Mhm.
because they had that strategy going in. Now, it again, which one are you gonna not sleep about more if you lose based on Toon and Errol and Shannon? Again, I keep on having to say it. No disrespect to Shannon, but if it's between throwing in Shannon's direction or Sadiq or Errol or Toon's direction, Shannon, I'm coming after you. That's this is what it is.
bro.
But
I get what you mean. Like it's perfect example. You have Jamar Chase and T Higgins on the same team. Which one do you double? They both great, but we're going to double Jamar. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's one of
right.
those
But
situations.
one thing that you're not gonna have me do is have Tariq Noble sack my quarterback all day, yelling at my sideline and getting my whole entire team deflated. That's not gonna happen. And we know on
Yeah,
the other side it's one and one A because you got Enrique on the other side who absolutely will wreak havoc, who
Yep.
absolutely will tear you down. So the front four was not the story. The
no,
others,
it was the back
the
end.
Golden Lions made the decision to not get beat by the defensive line. I respect that. Damn.
Listen, Kai was going ham yesterday.
Hell yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Hell
A
yeah.
guy that flies under the radar because of the names around him. He had an
Mhm.
excellent game. And again, I know Randy analyzes my broadcast and such. See how many times I mentioned that young man's name. He had a hell of a game on both sides of the ball, by the way. But
Both
even
sides
like
facts.
the
Mhm.
even
And let's not forget about his blocking. He's a receiver that wants to block for real.
Mhm.
Yep, yep,
Right.
indeed. And on by the way, the strip sack that set up the death nail right before the half with 1 second left was a sack not by a defensive lineman, but by Errol.
Yeah. I mean, but hybrid is on the back of his jersey for a reason. You
Mhm.
get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
He's whatever he wants to be whenever he's playing it. I'll
Yeah.
put it to you like that.
Indeed, but
You
that
get
was the
what I'm
chess
saying?
match between the coaches. And again, as much as we do, like the players are, I'm a dog and I'm gonna do dog things or whatever like that. It was a chess match, and it's intriguing because
Mhm.
I've been in plenty of matchups, especially like for example, when you play the Knowles, I just say, hey, G Block can't beat us today. If anybody else beats us, that's absolutely fine. G Block's not going to beat us with his feet, and that's kind of what we're going to do. If now later on if you see G Block over the last, let's say, 5 to 7 years, he's developed more passing wise and less with his feet. He used to be feet all day.
Yeah.
So, not that you were going to beat him, but the times in which that my teams have beat, uh, Spina's teams with him at quarterback, it has been basically, hey, look, as long as he doesn't beat us with his feet, I'm fine with the result. If we don't win, it's got to be on something else. That's what it is, and that's the way that the Gold Lions treated the Green Wave defensive line.
Hey, listen, regardless of the fact, the defense was still the big factor there. Like we already
Exactly.
know. that their defense wasn't prepared for our offense. It's been like that. We've already known that. Um, they can't really take away what we want to do because we have so much flexibility to adjust. Rim has a very, very good playbook. It's something you don't see often either. Um, and it really plays to a lot of like running back strengths. You know what I'm saying? A lot of misdirection, a lot of good counters. And then like I said, every play that we have, he literally can change one or two things to really draw the defensive attention one direction and we go another direction. Like there's no real answer. We have too many playmakers on offense for you to really stop. So the only thing that you can do, right, I would say to beat us is the best defense is a great offense. You gotta outscore us.
Yeah,
And that's the problem right there. You can't outscore us. Like the defense as a whole was hungry.
indeed.
You know what I'm saying?
And by the way, I was even commenting on the broadcast. You get tuned on the speed sweep. You pull the speed sweep. You got Kevin coming around on the counter, and at the same time, you got Juggernaut at the edge who could possibly come. Like that's a lot to deal with. A lot to deal with,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not like you could disregard any of the three.
Yes.
Right.
And if you really pay attention, Pat, you see as our running backs was running in the first half, you see them guys laying on the floor longer and longer. Like they didn't want to keep hitting them because our running backs were attacking them. You get what I'm saying? I'm watching these guys are on the floor. The first time they're on the floor for like 4 seconds. Next one, 5 seconds, 8 seconds. Like these guys are not getting up. It's multiple of them. You know what I'm saying? So that just goes to show me like y'all, they just got physically dominated. And then it doesn't make it any better when you have a defensive line that they're not looking hungry. They're not looking to attack. The only one that I say was looking to attack was number 50. He was out there playing by himself.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? The other three or four or whatever the fuck, it's like they were ducking smoke for the most part. You get what I'm saying? I think 27 rushed a few. He rushed hard. You know what I'm saying? But he only came to me like my last drive before I had to take myself out because my foot was killing me.
Yo, shout out
You
to
know what I'm saying?
27.
for
Shout
sure.
out, shout out to 27. He got me on one good play. I'm not gonna lie. That boy's good. He kicked my ass
I,
in the
I
game.
ain't I ain't want to get my quarterback hurt still out there on like pretty much a leg and a half, and this
Right.
motherfucker's going 100 miles per hour. So respectfully, I took myself out because I think that was the best thing to do.
Yeah.
You
And he
know,
didn't
you on my
touch. By the way, no sacks given up. Nobody touched
the
my
whole
fucking
yeah.
quarterback.
Listen.
Nobody
Last
touched.
time my quarterback got touched was week 1.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
After that, nothing.
Yep.
But that's
Chris Andrews had a hell of a game, by the way. Much respect to him, absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Because we
he
talk about
part of the season.
the top quarterbacks there, and you got Juan on the sideline looking like just give me the word type of thing. That's not an easy position to be in, man. And he delivered, protected the ball, distributed the ball. He made that big play to set up the 1 second throw at the end of the half. Big shout out to Chris
Yeah.
Andrews, man. Great job.
Yeah, he got up out of there. I tried to do that little smack move to the end, but he didn't lose his balance, so Chris got up out of there. I was like, thank you.
Yo, and he was moving. Yo, Chris was moving. I was like, oh shit. That boy
Yeah,
And
got
by
his
the
listen,
way,
that
ass today.
motherfucker, Chris
right.
like
Well,
what, 230?
Yeah, bro.
Running like that.
That motherfucker was moving, boy. Yo, but
Mm-hmm.
and shout out to Juan, man. Shout out to Juan, man. Battling that fucking injury is no joke. And he was a great teammate yesterday, and he has a ton of my respect for the role that he played on the team yesterday. And some dudes will troll, but there's always a bigger picture when it comes to this football shit and having
Mm-hmm.
longevity in this. The Juan's got a big season coming up in the LAL. And he is the Bears guy, so it makes the most sense to not put him in a position where he could possibly, be hurt for the next season. And and
But
and yeah, that was
yeah, but Chris was ready. Chris been ready from day one.
yeah.
So you
That's
know
what I
what I'm
was. That was
saying?
literally what I was about to say. But Chris already knew it was his time. He knew what he had to do, and he was prepared, well prepared. And that boy was hungry. Like Chris, he hears all the bullshit. He hears the noise. You can't say nothing to that man now, no matter what he did in the past. Fuck all that. That boy's a champ, and he balled out, and he was excellent yesterday. Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
Mhm.
So the last
Yeah.
thing I'll say with the penalties, one, shout out to the O line, no holding penalties.
Mm-hmm.
That
Right.
was that's something
If
you don't
you
see every day.
if you good at it, you ain't gonna get caught.
And then the second thing is now I want to talk about these personal fouls, right? Now, Randy, you know me pretty well.
Yeah,
You've
yeah.
played for my teams before.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing, well, the two things that I hate most: penalties and turnovers. And
Mm-hmm.
with the penalties, like it absolutely burns me. Now, here's the thing, and I don't admit that I'm wrong often. You know this.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always thought that there's no penalty that's a good penalty. Like
Right.
no, like we're not doing that. However, what it did seem, it's like a tradition for the Green Wave. Every time y'all score, that you get a 15-yard penalty.
Turn the fuck
It's,
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it is tradition. But
Right.
at the same time, when you talk about the mentality, Golden Lions, you got to get tougher mentally. And the
Mm-hmm.
New York bravado really affected your body language and therefore affected your ability to be aggressive. So, although I hate giving up yards, fundamentally, a couple of those personal fouls for celebrations and such, it
Worth it
delivered a message that I think actually may have been, dare I even say it, worth the 15 yards.
for sure.
And you're never
You
going to hear
can
me say that.
you can see it when we get into the red zone, like the between the D line and the linebackers, how they, like you said, the body language, it just didn't look aggressive as we were getting ready to line up. Like a
Oh,
lot of the guys kind of just was like dawdling around, rocking back and forth. They looked defeated. So, that's time to kill right there. It's like, yo, we gonna run the ball again, run it again, run it again. Like
now, Sadiq,
they're not.
before you say a word, Sadiq, the last time that we spoke, you were talking about my spreads. You were talking about my point spreads and such, and I did pretty good this year. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, I gave you your credit. I think it was like week 2 or 3 you started getting it back
Wait, the
together.
Dick is on here? I only see three of us. What the fuck?
Oh, you don't see me?
Nah.
Nigga, I can't see none of y'all. Everything is black.
Wow.
This shit is crazy. I see just
This
you,
happens every time I get on the live.
West. But all right, come
But
on,
yeah,
go
nah,
ahead,
and you taught me a little something about spreads. It's not the same as like, NFL and all that extra shit. Like people don't be kicking, people don't be doing this and that. Like you'll get a 4-point game in semi-pro. That's more, actual. So, but that 5.5 spread was way off, line maker.
bro.
Way off.
That's valid. That's valid.
Facts.
Indeed. What you got to say, Sadiq? What's up, champ? But first of all, let me greet you guys. Private. Good morning, champ. How you, sir?
I'm chilling. I'm chilling. Oh, y'all want me to be spicy this morning? I thought, you know what I'm saying? I always wanted to join way too early with Pat. You know what I'm saying?
I
But
appreciate that.
I definitely do have to talk my shit because what's it? The Lions, man. Oh my god. I hate that seasons have to go how seasons go. You feel me? We gotta sit here and be patient, take it by week. And I've been saying it from the beginning. Everything I said after the game, during the games, what I've been saying from the beginning, man. You're not messing with the wave, man. It's just that simple. Oh, and that last thing I want to say, I just hope
Uh,
people understand. I'm gonna air it out right now. That Louis luggage shit was created for me when I joined the Bleezys. All right, get that
oh,
right. I joined the
okay.
Bleezys via Louis luggage. I'm playing with my wave guys. They didn't want to come over here, so they thought they could get Zay and keep it the same. That's not how that works. You feel me? What we just
Mhm.
seen was Coogee.
Them
Was
niggas was
Coogee.
Adidas
Gucci
bags.
is
Now,
crazy.
Sadiq, I do have a question for you, right?
People say
and,
cool.
and, and I want you to absolutely honestly answer it. Again, this is way too early with Pat. We do less of the trash talking and more of the football part of
Yeah.
it, which is why I know that you appreciate my show. Talk to me about what it means to you. I mean, no offense to the other two on the screen.
Mhm.
However, you're an original Green Wave guy. So what does it mean as an original Green Wave guy who literally shovel in ground type of player who was there from the beginning, at least from the semi-pro phase? I'm not going to go back to the, when they were Pioneer League or whatever, more of like when they made the transition into semi-pro, you were one of the ones that were the foundation. Talk about that.
I feel like I'm in a little weird space because I'm also like it's not also my first or second year in this. You feel me? Like I'm getting a little mature. I'm getting a little up there in the vet year. So after games like that, I go to like guys like West and Randy and Arrow and say, "Yo, I appreciate y'all. Like y'all came down here and y'all didn't make it. Oh, we doing this, we doing this. Like y'all joined our shit. You feel me? And that's why I feel like we won the way we did. Like we were ready to win that shit as waves. So I mean, it means the most to me. But like I'm also able to sit back and be like, yo." this shit has so many hands supporting it. This shit has so many like things in it, things that we can't even talk about online. You know, just the practices, the coaching, the chemistry. Even from that first week video that Rim dropped during the week, it was funny because I wasn't even there in that video line, but to see how everybody was interacting with each other from week one was like, yo, I mean, it was only a matter of time, honestly. Like that's how I feel, honestly and truthfully.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it really
Hell yeah.
it really feel like a nice little brotherhood for real. Like I done made some good friends on the wave, man. I ain't expect to, you know what I mean? Like people I didn't even know existed at one point.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like shout out to my boy JJ. Shout out to Trev. Love that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to everybody on the wave, dog. Like niggas is real cool. You know, they some ignorant motherfuckers, but I fuck with them.
and, and not to crap on other teams, you know, everybody has their own situation and stuff like that. But it's like, cause I hate when people try to hit me with that. Oh yeah, I stack. Yeah, yeah, we stack, but that doesn't mean you're gonna win something. That's not how football works. You feel me? Like we've seen guys
But
put everybody they can on the team
Sadiq,
and still lose.
let's be real. Let's be real. What is stacked for real? Five players, like
No,
from a
somebody hit me
winning
with it. I think
organization.
Gerard reminded me how many nationally ranked players we have on our team, bro.
But that, I mean, listen,
Well,
like
I
I
mean,
said,
that's the purpose of
it's about
building. You know what I'm saying? Like
it's
when you
about
build,
five though.
people are going to
Five.
join. That's how it works.
But
Who is it? Me, Randy,
mhm.
Errol, Tubby, Toon, right? I'm not counting you and Noble because y'all been there from day one, so
but
that is not
But
that don't
I
count.
feel you. But regardless, somebody else who doesn't know Greenway is gonna look and say, "Damn, that team is stacked." Like the rankings guys, it'll be like, "Damn, this team got seven
Yo,
nationally ranked players." Not to mention, I
Listen.
think Juan should probably be ranked nationally.
If it
Honestly,
but listen.
if that's all it takes to win the chip, a lot of teams should be more successful. It's more than that, bro.
that's what I'm
It's
Right,
saying.
literally
right.
Mhm.
it's literally everything else that's been put into it, bro. Like shout outs to Rim for putting a great product together. I love this playbook, bro. This might be my second favorite offensive playbook I've played for since I've been playing ball.
Mm-hmm.
Look,
You
you
get what I'm
even
saying?
mentioning Cav. Word, like it's gonna keep
Yeah.
going on. Like
Yo,
you got
but listen,
oh,
speaking of a stacked team, right? Like earlier today, I was on a post where I think Damel Cherry was like, "Yo, this is the most stacked team I ever seen in my life," right?
Ravens.
And then I had to bring up the Ravens. I said, "Well, hold on, that Ravens team that we had was stupid stacked. Like,
yeah.
just think about all of the guys who've won championships in the past 10 years.
Nigga,
90% of
that
them
shit
were
was
on that
just
team."
Seminoles, Rebels, and who was it? The Punishers. That's all the three that was together, right?
Punishers, it was
In that
Gators on
one
that
team.
team. Like it was,
Hmm.
bro, that team. Yo, Sadiq, you wasn't in semi-pro at that time. If
Yeah.
you would have seen that team lining up on that fucking field, you would have been like, "Ain't no fucking way, this is fair."
And
Ain't no way.
and
Yeah.
guess and Sadiq, guess what? My low tiered unnamed ass
Yes,
Pharaohs
yes, it's
beat
fucking
them twice in the
Pharaohs.
chip.
Let
Yeah,
him
You guys
know.
are
Twice,
yeah.
Let
2 years
him
in a
know.
row.
That's what
All right,
that's one
fellas.
thing.
So you see, my daughter says it is treehouse building time. So we're gonna go build our
Man,
treehouse. Last words, Wes. What do you got? Last statement.
these niggas can't beat us.
In the
Randy,
words of
last
my son
statement.
Davin, man. Yo, listen, Golden Lions. I don't want to curse. Y'all suck. Y'all suck. Yo, and
And,
yo, pray for Chucky. I don't think he's doing okay.
oh
Just pray for that
man.
man.
And
Pray for that.
Sadiq, I saved you for last because I know you're gonna have the most thoughtful thing to say.
I appreciate that's crazy. I appreciate you. What I was gonna say is Happy Father's Day to you, doing the great father work. You know what I'm saying? Happy
Hmm.
Father's Day to
Happy
anybody
Father's
watching,
Day,
anybody out
everybody.
there that applies to. Love it, man. We don't get enough credit for our day. I'm not a pops, but y'all don't get enough credit for your day, you know what I'm saying? Y'all deserve
You
it.
the Golden Lions pops, nigga. What you talking about? Number three is your baby.
Facts. Facts.
Yeah, I
Oh
love it.
boy,
I love
I
it. I
am the
appreciate you,
Bleezy.
Pat. Keep doing your thing, man. Love it.
Appreciate
Yo,
y'all.
happy
So
Father's Day,
Sadiq got
fellas.
the
All right,
last
man.
word. The champs always get the last word. Congrats to the New York Wave champions of the Big East Football League. Another episode of Way Too Early with Pat.
Holla.
All
Peace.
right.
Yeah, enjoy it.